OK，好，那行，首先还是非常感谢大家，能够继续来听这个印欧语的课程。然后今天是星期二，所以可能很多朋友也没法参加，比较忙。OK，嗯，so so I think we should start. Um, So thank you very much again for coming to today's class. And today is the ninth Tocharian class. Um, and before we start, probably I myself already forgot what we have done last time, but it's okay. Probably I think we talk about laryngeals, right? And today's class has actually two parts. The first one is introduction of grammar, and I have, as I explained earlier in actually yesterday in my German class, I said that since we already know some basics of Tocharian and Indo-European linguistics, so the next stage, the normal, how to say that, schedule of our class would be that two parts in two parts each time. And the first part is devoted to grammatic or grammar. And second part, first part is grammar, and the second part is reading. And under the first part, there will be two also sections. The first one is synchronic, and the second one would be diachronic. And a diachronic means actually historical grammar, and the synchronic is kind of, how to put it, empirical or just a descriptive, kind of descriptive introduction of the Tocharian grammar, the forms, the different forms we have on the manuscripts in texts. And the second part, diachronic, historical, means that etymological and from the perspective of Indo-European linguistics. Probably I should close the window. It sounds a little bit noisy outside. Sorry. There are a lot of construction works in Germany. Okay. So let's come back. And for the reading part, actually I have a plan. Probably we can start reading the Punyavanta Jataka. In Chinese, it's called 福利太子名媛. And then, and this is a very famous, how to say that? The Jataka, yeah, right, of course. And this is a very important and famous piece. And as Ji Xianling was studying Tocharian in Göttingen, his teacher or teachers used these fragments as the reading material. And inside this, this is actually a collection of different stories. And among these, there's a very famous one called Mechanisches Mädchen. So the mechanic girl. and we have already watched a video of a movie made from E.T.R. Hoffman's how to say, the narration or fiction called Der Sandmann. Yeah, I hope it will be kind of interesting for some of you. Yeah. Okay, and then we will compare the German, French, and English translation until now, because this is a very famous piece, and there are several translations of this story. Okay, so probably we can start the first part, the grammar. Okay, wait a minute. So the first part, the synchronic. So we use the textbook called this one, Tocharisches Elementarbuch. And actually, you can take this section as a German reading class, since we are going to read some passages from this textbook. And some of you might have attended my German Tocharian class yesterday, so you probably know of already some information of the structure of the textbook. But I guess probably not all of you, so I will probably still introduce a little bit. So as you can see, this is probably, yeah, this is content. So actually the grammar, as usual, this is pretty normal if you use Indo-European linguistics grammar written by the Germans. They always start with the sound, the phonology, of course. Yeah, phonology. First phonology, and then nouns, and then morphology, right? And under morphology, there are actually several categories, and actually nouns, and then probably the first part is phonology, and then the nouns, and then pronouns, of course, pronouns, pronouns, and then there are also numbers, numerals, yeah. Okay, and of course, nouns and adjectives are usually together. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, looks a little bit complicated, but I will tell you the structure of this grammar. So you see, this is adjective, okay. And then this is pronoun, pronomen, yeah, right. And then comes the section for verb. Yeah, comes the section for verb. Yeah. And then verb. Yeah. And actually, inside the verbs, you have like finite forms. Finite forms，就是有人称和那个数的变化的这种形式叫 finite forms. And then you have infinite forms. So this is like infinitive or participle, 就是没有人称，但是有数的变化，就是没有人称的。对，就这个是有人称有数。OK，and this is, and then we will talk about it in detail, so don't worry. Now it's just a very, very brief overview. of the structure of the textbook. So this is, you see, this is presence. Yeah, this is present, and then this is conjunctive. Conjunctives, English subjunctive. And then talks about the personal ending. So talks about personal ending. Yeah. And then some etymological explanation of the endings. Yeah. And at the very end, there's a paradigma. So this is always useful. The paradigmas are usually useful. It gives you a how to say that, an overview, clear overview of the forms. Like this one, the presence, class 1, you have this verb called perk, and then this is West Tocharian, and this is East Tocharian. Tocharian B, Tocharian A, yeah. And you can compare, actually, the different forms, yeah. So this is a very practical handbook and textbook. So this is the structure. So after you have this structure in mind, first phonology, then nouns, adjectives, and pronouns, numerals, verb, and inside the verb, it talks about also personal ending, like this. And also inside the verb, you have present, subjunctive, of course, optative, and so on. There are a lot of other forms here. Okay, yeah. So I think we can we probably know some information basics about phonology of Tocharian. Probably I can just summarize a little bit. So actually in Tocharian, there's no voiced, sorry, in how to say that? In real Tocharian word, I mean, the real is not that real. I mean, this, how to say that? The original, how do you say that? How to say original? In original Tocharian words, no voiced consonant. Yeah. So we only have like, let's go back to this one. So you can see it's a little bit chaotic, but check this. So check this part. Wait a minute. So check this part. Affricative, it's a t, and palatar, it's ch, and Verschlusslaut, yeah, you just take it as consonant. K, sometimes kia, but it is pretty not so frequent. And t and p and p, this is also palatalized p. So this is basically the original Tocharian consonants. So they are voiceless. So no voiced consonant and only voiceless. So this is original. I have to make it, I have to highlight it. This is original. And then in loanwords, there are a lot of loanwords in Tocharian. Of course, there are very different kinds of consonants, voiced and voiced plus voiceless, both. Yeah. So in loanwords, especially Sanskrit loanwords, like Sanskrit, from Sanskrit. Yeah, so this is basically, okay. And today I'm going to, and we're going to look at historical phonology, and this is the second part. But now probably we can check a little bit of the nouns and adjectives. So as you probably have known, so let's take the paradigma. As I explained yesterday, that in Tocharian, I hope it's not too small. Yeah. So actually, or probably I should make it bigger. Yeah. So actually, in Tocharian, there are different classes, for nouns. There are different classes. Now, keep in mind, just like Sanskrit, and also, of course, like all the other Indo-European languages, like Latin, and also in like Greek and so on. Yeah, of course, they're different classes. But the criteria and how they divide the nouns into different classes is different. In Tocharian, we actually based our standard on the nominative plural, or actually they are same, nominative accusative. So op is accusative. I assume that you all know that op is accusative. Yeah. And pair is appellative, instrumental. Okay, yeah. So actually, based on the form of plural, nominative, we can divide the Tocharian nouns into different classes. So this is class 1, and as I have already explained, class 1 has plural in obliquus. Yeah. Okay. This is oblique. So plural in R. And then let's move on to class 2. Class 2, this is niam, and then niemna. So you see the plural is na. So this is class 2, plural in na. And some of you who have already watched the video yesterday, these are actually go back to Karen. Go back to Proto-Indo-European H2. Yeah. So this is quite important. The second laryngeal 2. I guess you all know that this is laryngeal. Yeah? This is laryngeal 2. Yeah. And laryngeal 2 turns into what in Greek between consonants? So the first question, what is the result of laryngeal 2 in Greek? Between consonants. Can anyone type quickly the answer? Yeah, great. So it becomes R, alpha, becomes R in Greek. Okay, great. And then let's move on. You see class 3, yeah. Class 3, it's plural in enta. Yeah. So again, you see it is pretty regular. Yeah, it's R. Okay, and now let's move on to class 4. Class 4 is a little bit different because it is class 4. So you see, class 4 is a special case for the, how to say that, Verwandtschafts relationship line. It's not relationship. So it's about family members, like father, mother, brother, and sister, like this. So it's family member, family was parental. I don't know. Verwandtschaft. I only know the German word. Verwandtschaftswort. So you know that relatives. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is a father, and you see this is singular called pater, and obliquus is called pater. So already kinship. Ah, great. Yeah, kinship. Yeah. Thank you. Kinship nouns. Yeah. Yeah. Right. That's right. Yeah. I always forget something. Wait a minute. So let's compare. So this is class 3, right? And this is class 4. So what's the difference? What's the biggest difference? The biggest difference is actually here. You see, for class 3, nominative obliquous or nominative accusative are same because, as I explained earlier, the final consonants in PIE are lost in Tocharian. So what does this mean? So like if we have os, this is usually the nominative singular of O stem, right? This is nominative singular of O stem. And om, this is accusative singular of O stem. Yeah, I assume that this is kind of a common knowledge for all of you. And then this a very important sound change in Tocharian. I highlight it. So final consonants in Tocharian, in Proto-Indo-European are lost in Tocharian. So if these consonants are lost, so indeed you cannot tell the difference between nominative and accusative, right? So this is make good sense. So class 3, class 2, class 1, they all have the same form for nominative and accusative. But class 4, you see it's different, right? It's different. Pater und Pater, yeah. Because kinship, yeah. Because let's explain a little bit. So pater goes back to this one. To save the how to say that, to make it convenient, I just write pater, but keep in mind this R in pater goes back to, so this is Tocharian, I write it Tocharian, but make a, so this R goes back to H2, yeah, so keep it in mind, yeah. So this is actually the, how do you say that? This is the stem, right? And for this stem, how do we build a nominative from the stem? So nominative singular should be a S, right? And then this should become partes, right? And this partes, there's a special law called the Semmelweis law, but you can forget the name now. But the result is that you get this one. So you get a lengthened grade of air here. So originally it is pater and nominative singular with S. So you have paters, and this you should put two stars. And then you have paters, and this S disappears and lengthens, makes the air long. So this is kind of a compensatory lengthening. Okay, and then check this one. So this is long A. So this is long A, and this long A has palatal effect. So palatal effect means that it will make the consonant, how to say that, to make it into a palatal. So t turns into a ch, yeah. So this is the reason why we have in Tocharian a ch sound in, how to say that, in nominative, right? But it is But for the ablative, you see, so for the ablative, you usually have this pater, but plus an M. And this M, how do we say that? Especially for what? What is the question here? Especially for air. So air has palatal effect. Yeah. Okay, palatal effect. Air has also a palatal effect. Air has also a palatal effect. So let's probably move on to the historical phonology. Since we already started, let's check this. Yeah. So take a look. Yeah. Let's move on. One moment. Yeah. So you see, Proto-Indo-European long A, make it bigger. Yeah. So Proto-Indo-European long A before consonants or after or near consonants, it has a palatal effect. So palatal effect, you mark it as a year sound. So like tear in kinship terms, it becomes a chair. So this is a regular change. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Yeah. This is. Yeah. And also, you see, there's another case, like simple air, not lengthened, but simple air has also palatal effect. So originally it is a g, and it will make the g turn into a sh. So this sh is also a palatal consonant. But you see in like in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, it's called jani. So ja is also a palatal consonant. But in Greek, it is a g. So in Greek, it has actually different, how to say that? There are different effect. You can, or different stage. So in Tocharian, this is actually E grade. You see, this is E grade. I put it here. Yeah, I'm not sure if it is clear enough. So it's there are a lot of different, there are a lot of complicated signs, symbols, and some of you might a little bit confused. Okay, but you can just now remember the how to say the features of the vowels. So long air has palatal effect, and short air too. It also has palatal effect, but the result is different. Okay. Okay, so let's move back to the grammar, and then this patter. Wait a minute. Right? Yeah. Okay. So then this patter actually should become also a patcher, but it's just to distinguish, or it has actually different grade. So it will become pater because here there's no long air, but simply a M. So there will not be the palatal effect for the oblet, for the accusative. Okay, so. Yeah. And then you see the, so if you, I mean, if the sound changes are too complicated or at the moment, you can just forget it. You just keep in mind the class 4 have different forms for nominative and accusative. 就如果大家觉得这个历史语音的变化有点太麻烦的话，你们其实目前大家只要记住就是第4类这个变革，它的单数主格和宾格是不一样的，和前面3类是不一样。前面3类它的都是主格宾格是一致的，但是呢，在第4类的时候，它是不一样的。为什么？因为它实际上是有 upload 在里面。So the reason is that actually from the fourth, the class 4 has upload. So this is the key difference. So this is the biggest difference. Class 1 and 1, 2, 3, there's no upload. But class 4, I mean for the singular, there's no upload. But class 4, there's upload. So this is very important. Class upload. So this is important. And then the plural, you see, again, there's R here. Yeah, there's R here. Okay. Then there's another word, another class, class 5. Class 5, again, nominative and ablative, nominative and accusative are different, but different in another way, right? So for this, okay, I should, we can compare these 2 classes. So you see, 4 and 5, they are different. But they share some similarity. The similarity is nominative, accusative are different. Nominative, accusative are different, but in different ways. Here, the consonant is different. The stem, it has different stems in this class. But here, you see the stem is the same, but the accusative has a nasal at the end, nasal, yeah. Okay. For the time being, you can just forget the, how to say that? You can just forget the historical phonology. Yeah, it's a little bit complicated, but you have to know that they are different. Okay, so now probably let's turn to another class. So this is class, wait a minute, class 6, wait a minute, class 6. Class 6 is a little bit complicated. So let's turn to this class. So this is a word we're going to talk about today. So it's called König, king. The king word in Tocharian. So I make it a little bit. Okay. So this is a word for king in Tocharian. And so we will come back to this word again. So now you just have a kind of a first impression of the king word in Tocharian. So the king word looks a little bit strange because the nominative called waro, but ablative and all the other forms is called lant, lanta, lante, lunch, lantern, lanterns, lanterns, right? And then Austro-Tocharian, right? Again, where lant, lanta, lant, lunch, lunches, lunchsa, luncheshi. So it looks like the nominative is so different from the other forms. and you probably have the doubt, you probably get suspicious. Do they really belong together? So don't worry, we will explain it later. Yeah. So now let's move on to some explanation of the sound changes. So as I explained, we can talk about this word, the word for five in Indo-European languages. So you have seen this is PIE. So PIE is called pain, right? Make it. I write it like this. So this wa is the same. The wa is the same as this one. So they are just different ways to write. Okay, so this is five. Five in European languages. And then Tocharian B called pish. Yeah. Tocharian A called pen. Yeah. It looks so different, right? Yeah. So let's analyze one by one. Yeah. So what happened in Tocharian if we have this pink? So there are actually two two steps. So first one, this per with a turns into p. Why? Because this a is a palatal, kind of palatal sound. It's a palatal vowel, so it will turns into a pia or pia, like this. Yeah. And you can write it like this, but also you can write it this. So this the same symbol for palatal. So this for palatal. This is same symbol for palatal. You can write it like this, and if you want to make it, how do you say that? I can't make it like this in this file, but you probably know what I mean. Right? Yeah. So this is kind of a palatal sound. So this pia, the pia sound turns into a p sound in B, but a p sound in Tocharian A. And then the second part is a is again a palatal vowel, so it will palatal this. So it will make this k into a palatal. Or kwa into a palatal. So kwa, it's in palatal, it's a sh sound. Yeah. But in Tocharian A, what we have is that the final consonant dropped. The final, the final syllable just was dropped. And then with palatal effect of the previous vowel. So before it really disappears, it has kind of some, write it like this. So so this is actually the correspondence to, this is the development. So it makes this into a sh, and then it's also with palatal effect of this one. So sh is a palatal sound, and then this disappears. Yeah, this is explanation for this form. Yeah. Okay. So it looks a little bit complicated, but but this is actually what the Indo-European linguistics works. This is also what the Indo-European linguists write papers or find and solve questions. Yeah, okay. And then another important sound change, what I also mentioned yesterday, is that what? Near in Tocharian B, where is near? So near is Tocharian A form, right? Near is Tocharian A. Yeah. So for this sound, you can explain in different ways that it is either assimilation, like this n also turns into a sh. So there are different ways to explain this. So this n probably due to assimilation. Yeah, probably due to yes, yeah. This is actually pure. So I write it like this. Yeah. So like this. Yeah. And then this becomes this is assimilation. This is probably wait a minute. This is probably assimilation. Yeah. Yeah, there are different ways to explain this. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then the another sound change is PIE O turns into EA. NAR. Yeah. So this is another very important sound change you have to keep in mind. O turns into A and O turns into R. Okay, and there are different examples, and you can check it here. Yeah. So, and for this example, as I explained earlier, so this is the word for gongfos, gongbo. Yeah. This has a palatal sound. It will turns into I write it here. So first, the voiced to voiceless, right? So would be a k, and then there's an assimilation. Yeah. There's assimilation to m, double m. Yeah. So then it will become a double m, and double m will be simplified. Yeah. So this is a simple m, and then o becomes a air, o becomes air. So this is the TB form, right? Yeah. But the TA form, we write it again. So for the TA form, again, g to k becomes voiceless, and then o becomes an r, and then this is also assimilation here, but the final consonant is dropped in Tocharian A, so you don't have the final consonant. So then you have the same, you have the different result, keme or come. So this is the word for tooth. Yeah. Yeah. Like Greek gomphos. Yeah. And this word, you find it also in Sanskrit, actually. So let's find it in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, it's wait a minute, it's too big. Like in Sanskrit, it should be Oh, not this one. Wait a minute. I hope I'm not mistaken. Here. You see, there's a word called jumper, and yeah, you see here. There's another. There's a word called jamba, and this jamba is connected with this word. Yeah, it's connected with the Tocharian word for tooth, right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, it is the same word, gomphos or jamba. This is a Sanskrit word. It's, it's called Canghaya actually, in plural, or Tsena. So it's tooth, teeth, yeah, teeth. Okay, so this is the word. And so probably this is enough for grammar. So let's probably read some texts. Yes, okay. This is a text we. So so now we probably we don't need to read the Blachny script again. But if you are interested, you can check the Blachny script yourself. But for this class, we are not going to read the Blachny. Usually, if there are some problems, we can check the original manuscript. But for the normal reading class, we won't read it. So this is the text, the same text we have read last time, and probably we can read from here. So this is line B1. So line B1, first you get a basic idea of these lines. So I copy the translation here so that you can see. Wait a minute. Yeah. So we start from here. Panyakte kapira vastune, right? So this actually was Buddha was staying in Kapilavastu, and if Buddha's brother named Nanda enters into the community, half of the monks were doubtful: is it Buddha or Nanda who entered? And then Nanda lacked two marks of Buddha, and he lacked 4 fingers from Buddha. So it's the English translation is a little bit strange. It does not mean that Nanda has only 6 fingers. It means that he is shorter. Buddha is taller. Buddha is higher, but his brother is shorter. Yeah, it does not mean that he has only 6 fingers. Yeah, that's a little bit strange. Yeah. He made for himself the clothes and so on. So let's read from here. So Panyakte is Buddha. You all know that. Panyakte, this is Buddha. And then Kapilavastu, it's a Sanskrit loan word. It's a place name. It's a city, yeah, Kapilavastu. I made it bigger. Yeah. So this is Kapilavastu. And this ne, this Kapilavastu ne, we won't read a lot. I just want to explain the grammar. So this is Buddha, or to be specific, Buddha God. This is Buddha, Buddha God. And then Kapilavastu from Kapilavastu, and this is a place name. And ne is a locative, so this is actually locative singular. And then mosquito. Mosquito comes from the root musca, yeah, musca, and it's actually imperfect. So if you want to know the information, the grammatical information, you just check the dictionary or check the book by Mountain. This is a PDF PDF data you find it in our folder called the Millennium Milestone, Tocharian verbal system, and you search mosquito, you find it. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Yeah, find it. Yeah, you see. Werden sich befinden or become be. So it's, yeah, the meaning is be or become. And see, this is imperfect. This is imperfect. Mosquito. So in imperfect, there's a special sign for imperfect. This E is a special sign for imperfect. So it is imperfect was. Yeah. So Buddha was in Kapilavastu. And then this is Panyagnense. So this is genitive singular of Buddha. Yeah, right? Yeah. And then this is Proche. Proche is brother. It's like the English word brother. We will talk about the sound change. So take a look at this one. This is the chair. This is your chair ending for the kinship noun. And Nanda is a name. Nanda is just a name. Nanda is Nanda. This is a personal name. Personal name. PN is for a personal name. And Nian is really name. This is really the name. So this is related to English word name. Yeah, Nian, name. Yeah. Okay, so this is actually the sentence. We're not going to read a lot. And now let's probably, before we stop, let's make a brief summary, and then we will explain the next section, the, how do you say that, the words for kings, yeah, for kings. Okay, so before we, yeah, so I make a brief summary. So so we have a overview of the structure of the grammar, Tocharian grammar. So first phonology, and then nouns, and after nouns we have pronouns and also numerals and verbs. And today we talked about phonology. I mentioned again that in Tocharian there's no voiced consonant. So this is very important. You have to keep in mind. No voiced consonant, only voiceless. The voiced consonant, you find it in long words, especially from Sanskrit. Okay. And then we checked different classes of the Tocharian nouns. And 1, 2, 3 is pretty regular, but from class 4, it's a little bit different. So this is actually compare. Compare the nominative with accusative. They are different because they have upload. So this is actually important. We have upload, so nominative and accusative are different. And then we explained why, because this is, okay, so this is turns into departure. Yeah, turns into departure. So we have A grade. Also, or to be specific, this long A grade. This long A has palatal effect. So does the normal A grade. So this is pache. Yeah. Okay. And okay. And then we talked about the word for 5. This is a sound change that pair becomes a P in Tocharian B, become per in Tocharian A, and the final consonant is also different. Yeah, and this penque in Sanskrit. Can anyone tell me the Sanskrit word for 5? What is the Sanskrit word for 5? Yeah, great. Pancha, without this in. Yeah, this is pancha. So this is pancha. I have to check it. I have to check the I think the accent is on the first syllable, right? Yeah, correct. Consonant, yeah, it's a vowel. So this is pancha, yeah, right? This is pancha. And then a little bit interesting is the word in Latin. So here is so in Latin, it is called quinque. You see, this is called quinque. Quinque. So this is a little bit different, right? So this is quinque. So what happened here? This actually there's a sound change in Latin that if we have a p and a qu, if we have these two consonants, it will become two qu. So p plus qu will become double qu, two qu. So this is also a kind of assimilation. You see that for the sound changes, there are really different results in different languages. Like Sanskrit is pancha, Latin is quinque, because there's a special sound change, assimilation, and also in Tocharian it's a little bit also different. Okay, so this is for the first hour, and before we move, so let's make a short break, about 2 to 3 minutes. So during the short break, I have a question. So what is, so my question is, what are the 4 dangers in India or ancient India? Ancient India. Okay, so this is my question. So you can think about it and I will come back. What? What are you talking about? What? Oh, that's so funny. Yeah. Does anyone have other? Uh, does anyone have other? Um, how do you say that? Yeah. Other other information. Yeah. Yeah, you can keep searching. Yeah. You can keep searching. Okay. Well, that's pretty good guess. Yeah. Ah, great. I saw a very good answer, but three are correct. Three. Yeah, you are correct about three of them. Yeah. And if we talk about fire, so what could be the? Yeah, that's great. Yeah. Okay. So it's actually wait a minute. Mm. Yeah, so it's actually this. Yeah. So this is actually uh, the the verse. Mm. Mm. So in Sanskrit, it's called Kashchit eva dinavo, bhavishya rajato va chaurato va agnito va udakato va, and so on. No, yeah. So the sentence is a difficulty or a danger from whom, or the difficulty, yeah, that's the eva dinavo, from whom? From Raja, king, from Chaura, the thief, and from Agni, fire, and from Udaka, water. So this is actually four different dangers in India, ancient India. And then this has actually, this was translated into Tocharian as this wa is water, por is fire, rash is king, König, and rishi is thief. So this is actually the four dangers in ancient India. King, König, deep, fire, rasa. So should I write the English? King, thief, thief, fire, and this is water. Yeah, this is four different dangers in ancient India. And then let's move on to the discussion of the king in Tocharian, in Indo-European languages. Yeah. So basically, what I want to say before we move on is that this is actually an etymological study of the different names for king in different languages. And the, how to say that? I want to talk about etymology because sometimes I want to. This is what I have. This is what I have written before our class. So studying etymology help you always think about the origin of the meaning and don't take it for granted. So if we, especially for very, very simple and very, very familiar words like free, yeah. So actually, what is free time? And free time is actually your own time. Your own time. Free is actually your own time. So you can dispose it, you can make use of it according to your own wish, so as you wish. So this is actually, so I hope that studying etymology will help you probably in the future in your own studies or your own other affairs, and to just think about the meaning and think about why it has to be like this. And sometimes there, how to say that? Yeah, okay, yeah. So studying etymology can help you think and to trace the origin of things. Okay, so now let's move on to the topic of king. So you find the information about these words in a very good lexicon. It's called a dictionary of, sorry, I closed the window. Too noisy. There are a lot of construction works. Okay. Yeah, so you find the information in this book. So this book is called A Dictionary of Selected Synonyms in the Principal Indo-European Languages by Carl Darling Buck. It's published in 19. I forgot the date. It's 1949. Yeah. Okay. And then it's then it's reprinted. So you find the information about king in this dictionary, and I copied the page here. So we start from Greek. So in Greek, it's called basileos, and also wanax or anax. Since today is not a Greek class, I'm not going to spend much time on explaining Greek words, but we can talk about it later in detail. And now, I just want to tell you that for the Greek words, we have actually two words in Greek. So in Greek, sorry. So in Greek, we have first basileos, second anax. So here comes the question: which one is older? Can you give me a guess? Which one is older, basileos or anax? I think nobody would guess Lex older. Lex is certainly not old. No. Yes, you're right. This one is older. No, this one is older. This one is older. Yeah. And basileos. So wanax, actually the better translation should be Lord. And you always find wanax or wanax. So it's in Mycenaean Greek, also attested, called wanax. I forgot, but it's written like, you can write it like this, wanax. In Mycenaean Greek, it's written as wanax. And actually, this anax or wanax always occur as vocative. So always as vocative. Always as vocative. So about in Greek, Anrede, in German, it's Anrede. But basileos seldom, and the meaning is also different. So this is actually a king, and fulfilling certain certain, how to say that, social skills or like social duties, responsibilities, something like, or some jobs. It's like some jobs. Okay, something like that. It's kind of how to say that, a little bit institutional things. 就是 Wanax 这个词，它是非常早就出现，然后呢，在麦西尼语当中也有，然后一般是表示一种，因为经常用来称呼一个表示神啊，或者是 Lord 这样的情况。那 Basileus 这个词呢，它其实更多的是有一些制度上的含义，就是履行一些制度啊，它是某种职能啊这种问题。And there's also a book discussing the origin of some Greek words, like this one. Some believe basileos is actually a loan word from Semitic. The Semitic loan word, very well, yeah, could be, and especially this else. This else is actually Greek else is actually a agent suffix. So it means that the doer or the something like this, do something. Yeah, this is actually basileos. Okay, so enough for the Greek. We can actually read the text in the future in our Greek courses, but today it's okay. Yeah, and then let's move on to the italic, the Latin word called rex, and rex is actually related with Lajang, with Sanskrit Lajang. But we will talk about the root when we come to the Sanskrit root. And then the Celtic root, the same origin, I guess. Yeah. And then the Germanic roots, the Germanic words. So in Germanic, we actually have two groups. In Germanic, we actually have two groups. The first group, okay, yeah, great. Yeah, so actually the Italo-Celtic, they have actually the same terminology. And actually, if you check the book, if you check the article by Mike Cohn, he actually reconstructed the structure of the Indo-European society. So at the very top, we have the König, we have the king called the Rex, and then below the king, you have like Korionos called Verbandführer, the leader of the Verband, unity, community, right? And then you have the community or the group, and then you also have this is actually his people. Yeah, this Königreich, his people, and then among the König's people, among the king's people, king's folk, there are men, viros, vida. It's the so this is viros, and viros is actually Sanskrit vida. Yeah, vida, mahavida, like this. Yeah. And then you have xenos, and xenos is Greek. It's Latin. Wait a minute. It's too noisy. Seniors, senior, like senior. Yeah. So it's the older people. So men are actually the 成年人, like adults. This is actually adults, 成年人, adults. And then this is old men, like gerontes or senos. And then you have the, how do you say that? The heir or the lord or something like that. And so you can actually see the structure of the ancient society, ancient Indo-European society. So this is actually the Wirtschaft, the economy, and also responsibility. And they are actually the Streitwagenkrieger. So they are the soldiers of the war chariot. Yeah, you can check the German words in your dictionary. It's pretty easy. Yeah, yeah, and then these people, they are responsible for the laws and for the judgment, for the judge, Urteil, and for the law, and they do not need to fulfill the war responsibility, war duty. They don't have the war duty, so they are old people and they kind of the judge and so on. This is basically a very simple structure of the ancient Indo-European society. So now let's come back to this structure, and then there are two groups for Germanic words. For king. The first group, of course, the king word. Yeah, this is pretty easy. Yeah, and the second word is represented the king, the so-called king, and you find it in, this is English. This is English, and then you have in Old High German. Old High German, you have Koenig. Also, Old English, you have Old English. You have Kooning. You have Kooning, and so on. And the second group, you see, the second group is this word, students. This is Gothic. This is Gothic word, students, and also Old Nordic called Susan. Susan, and also Old English, Theon. So they are actually the same group. Yeah, they are the same group. So it's basically two groups for kin. And now let's move on to the etymology. What are the meaning of this? What do these words mean? So we start from Old High German because we have a very good Old High German dictionary called EWAHD. So we check. So let's check EWAHD. I assume that you know the name, the abbreviation. If you don't, just turn back to just to check the previous videos. So in this dictionary, you find it here. This is Cooney, and you see Cooney was attested already in 8th century. So in 8th century, in the glossaries to the Bible, of course, and then it is the translation of Basileus or Dominus or Rex, you see, Rex, and so on, and other Pharaoh, and also Pharaoh, yeah, Pharaoh, it's also interesting. So this is actually the Latin word. So you see, Latin word Basileus must come from Greek Basileus, right? So this is an Old High German word for König, and then let's move on to the etymological connection. So here you see there are other words, other Germanic words like Old English called Kuning, and also Old Saxon called Kuning, and also Old Frisian called Kenin, and so on. So they are related. And then let's move on to the etymological section. It's called Das Wort ist eine Ableitung mit der Suffix Urgermanisch Inga und Ungar von Urgermanisch Kunia. And Kunia, you check. So Kunia means Geschlecht. So Geschlecht means actually the family, 种族, folk, or Geschlecht, family, right? So how, I don't know, is the best race or right? Race could be better, right? Let's check it. Geschlecht. Sex, no. Generation, family, yeah. Family could be good, and also generation, or race, the human race, yeah. Race or family, and so on. So it comes actually from the word for family or race. So, and then the meaning, the original meaning is that der Angehörige eines vornehmen Geschlechts. So it actually means he belongs to a high or noble family. This is actually the original meaning. He belongs to the family, belongs to the race, but it's not a normal family. It's a Vernehmen, it's a noble family， 就属于一个高贵民族高贵家庭或者族群的这样的一个人。Okay, and then let's move on to Cooney. So what's the meaning of Cooney? Cooney is here. It means Geschlecht, it means family, it means Verwandtschaft, Abstamme, Nachkomme, Stamm, stem. So folk, also folk. Like, yeah. So it's gens, genus, German, and so on. Yeah. And this kunia comes from the Indo-European root called genio. So let's write it here. So we have kuninga, and kuning, and kuning comes from kuni, and this kuni comes from the root for this root. This is the Indo-European root. So it comes actually from this root. Can anyone tell me what is the result, or what does this look like in Indic or in Sanskrit? What is the root from in Indian? What is the root? The Sanskrit root for gem? Yeah, that's right. This is jam. This is Sanskrit. This is Sanskrit jam. Yeah. So give birth. Give birth. Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So actually, it means that the family or the race. Yeah. Okay. There's probably another interesting story about this word. Does anyone know what is the meaning of German? The meaning of German actually comes from the same root. If we check Latin dictionary, so German, there's a Latin word called Germanus, and Germanus, if we check the Latin dictionary, let's check the Latin dictionary. Germanus. Actually, you see, they actually, how do you say that? Okay. So the word German or Germanic actually comes from the Latin word called Germanus, and Germanus actually has the meaning genuine, real, actual, true. So it is the true, how do you say that? The true people, or the people belong to the same family and so on. And this Germanus, German, again comes from the same root. But probably, this is gen, right? This is gen plus and man, and it turns actually into a ger man. So you see here, we have an interesting sound change. This is called dissimilation. This is the sound change called dissimilation, because check, there are two nasals. So So this is kind of a dissimilation, right? So there are two nasals, and then comes a dissimilation to a r and to a m. So what is another example is the word for nama, name. So in Hittite, the word for nama is called a laman. Yeah, I forgot it's probably a lam. So you see, this is again, this is a very important song change called dissimilation. In Hittite, it's laman, but in Sanskrit, it's nama. Yeah, I have to check it. If you, I'm not. I think the first one is the long. The first one is long, right? Yeah, Hishish. Yeah, this first one is long, called laman, and I have, as I have mentioned earlier, if in Hittite, they are written in hieroglyph. And if you write the vowel again, it means that it's a long A. So it's a laman. So you write it like la, a, ma, an. Yeah. Okay, so this is a regular song change. So this is a word for king. I'm not sure if we have enough time. We only have a few minutes. And if you don't mind, 你们不介意我多拖几分钟吧？我把这个剩下的 Balto Slavic 的讲完，然后OK 好，行 OK. So let's move on. This is actually the Germanic words for the king. The first group. The second group, Sudan. Sudan is actually from the same root for Deutsch. So this is actually the word for du Tisk. Du Tisk is actually Deutsch, and the word Sudan actually comes from the same root. Let's wait a minute. Yeah, this is actually from this root called folk. It's again folk, Haydn, folk Stamm. See, yeah, this is actually the same concept. 就命名的这个概念都是差不多，就是原来是一个特定的那个民族，或者是特定的那个族race of folk like this. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And then let's move on to the Balto-Slavic group. So the Balto-Slavic group is a little bit easier. So this is Lithuanian, and then in Slavic we have we have two groups. So the first group called Kara Lius. So this is Kara, and in Church Slavonic or in Altkirchen Slavic, it's called Kersa. It's called actually Kersa. Kersari. This is also OD. Yeah. So, and also if we check, so let's actually first check the Russian dictionary. So if you check the Russian dictionary for king, you actually have two results. The first result is called, so this is a very interesting information. So this is a Russian word, the Russian word for king. Russian king, yeah. So actually we have two words. The first word is called Karoi, ancient and biblical. And the second one is called Tsar. Tsar, yeah. So for the Tsar, it is actually connected with this word called Kesar. And Kesar, you find it also for the Old Church Slavonic. We actually use a dictionary called this one. Wait a minute. This is a dictionary we use. For the Old Church Slavonic, it's called Lexicon Linguae Paleo-Slovenicae, and it has 4 volumes. And for this, we have to check this one. So you find the word here. So this is the word for Kesar. We will talk about the alphabet later next week. So next week, next Tuesday, we are going to have the first Slavic course, and during that course, we will learn the script and also some important dictionary grammars. So you see, this is actually the Old Church Slavonic word. So if you transcribe it, it's like that. So this is like Kesar, and it is E, but check it. There are also two. There are kind of some small signs here. So this sign means wait a minute. This sign actually means palatine. So this is Kiesari. My pronunciation is actually not very good, but you get the meaning. That's fine. So this is Kiesari. This is actually from and in Greek it's called Caesar, and in Latin it's called Caesar. So you can just guess what is the etymology of Tsar. What is the etymology of Tsar? It's actually come from the Latin name of Caesar. Latin name of Caesar. So this is the etymology for this word. And then what is the etymology of this word? Karoi. And Karoi is another personal name. It is the name called Kar. It comes from the name Kar. And Kar is the name of another important Germanic king. Yeah. So the Slavic words for kings actually come from 2 different names. One called also in Lithuanian, Balto-Slavic. So that's why Kar is earlier, because it is how do you say that? It's also preserved in it's like you can see like in Russian, you have the information in the dictionary. It's ancient and it's biblical. So this Kar and also Kesar, this Kararius, or the Russian word Karor, they both come from a personal name. It's a Germanic, like Karl Marx. Yeah, it's a very frequent Germanic name. And then the second version, the Tsar, and the Old Church Slavonic Kesar, comes from the Latin word for Kaiser. Yeah. So this is actually the etymology. And then let's move on to the Sanskrit word. So Sanskrit word called Lach. And if we want to check the etymology, of course, we check the Meyerhofer. So you find the information here. Sorry. You find the information here. So it's related to, this is the this is a word called lake. It is also related to Latin word lake or the lakes, and also Regina, Königin. Okay, and so what is actually the meaning of the root? So let's check the leaf if you want to know the meaning. So in leaf, you find the root, certainly. You certainly can find the root. It's laryngeal 2, laryngeal 3, sorry. Laryngeal 3. Yeah. So this is a root called gerade richten, ausstrecken. So it means that it's to guide or to direct in a straight way. And then it means to lenken, to guide, to lead correctly. So actually the laja and the legs originally means that the person who leads correctly, who guide the people, who guide the others in a correct way. So this is actually the correct meaning, the original meaning. And now let's turn back to the Tocharian form. So the Tocharian word called waro and rant, again, why they are different? Because as I mentioned, nominative and accusative, they are different because there's upload. So there's upload. So the word is actually walant. And this walant, if you, how do you say that? This is actually the nominative, yeah. And it has, how do you say that? There's some sound changes, a little bit complicated, but you can forget it now. So it is actually a war plus an ant. And then the other cases, it's like a volant. Yeah. So you have the accent here. So you change the accent, and by this word, the accent is here. So there's upload. So upload means change of different. Upload is always connected with accent change. Yeah. So for other cases, so this is the form volant. Again, this is and then this volant. You see, originally there's a here. Originally this is a, but if the is not accentuated, 就如果这个不重读的话 ，is not stressed, then it is deleted. 就是should I write it here? No accent or not stressed, and then deleted. So this is actually the, and then you see double consonants at the beginning is not allowed. So they are simplified to not. This is actually the logic. And then what is this var? Var is also comes from how do you say that? Comes from this word. There's also an Indo-European root for where. Okay. So this is actually this word for where, and where you have it also in Latin. It's called valeo. Valeo means to be strong, to be healthy. I think valeo is to be strong. Yeah, and I think it's related. It's the same. The English word valence, right? Valence. Yeah, could be. Yeah, valent. Yeah, probably, yeah. And the Latin word called valeo, called be strong. And the original root is to be strong and to have the power. And then it is the origin of the Tocharian word for king. King. The king is someone who has power. This is actually the etymology of the king word. Okay, so this is basically for today. Before we stop, I make a brief summary. We introduced the structure of the Tocharian grammar book, phonology, nouns, and pronouns, and numerals and verbs. And we talked about different classes of, wait a minute. Sorry. Yeah. We talked about different classes of the nouns, and the fourth class is different. It has upload, and so are the following, the other classes, like the king word. Okay, and then we talked about the word for 5, and the Sanskrit word, and also the Latin word. There's a special sound change. It's assimilation, per qua to qua. Okay, and then also another important sound change, namely Indo-European O turns into a A in B and turns into a R in Tocharian A. And we talk about the tooth word. Okay, and then we read a very simple sentence that the Buddha was staying in Kapilavastu and so on. And his brother, this is another kinship noun called procher. Okay, so you see per and b, yeah, okay. And then we talked about the word for king in different languages, the etymology, and so on. Okay, so this is, yeah, the Germanic root comes from the word for family. This is, yeah. Did I write it? No. Yeah. So it comes from this root. This root means give birth to. Yeah. Yeah, and also the Balto-Slavic words for king, there are actually 2 words, and they both come from the personal name. The Caesar comes from the Latin Caesar, and Karar or Karoi comes from the Germanic personal name Kar. Okay, and then the Tocharian word called for king. It has upload, wardo, and lant. And it comes from this root, means to be strong, connected with Latin word valere. Okay, so this is everything for today. Thank you so much for your attention until now. Yeah. Okay. Hope you enjoy it, and we will see each other on Saturday. And Saturday is probably, I forgot it. It's a Latin class, right? Probably. Or Greek. I forgot. Okay, we can check it. Okay, so have a nice day and enjoy this week. Okay, bye-bye.